From slimming down to an unrecognizable size, to fans going crazy over his health, here's the MMA world reacting to Alistair Overeem's body transformation. The man looks like a shell of his former self. It wasn't too long ago when Overeem used to look like a jacked superhuman. In fact, that was only a little over 8 months ago. So what happened from then to now? Well, he stopped using PEDs for one. Once he stopped juicing, he lost all of his Super Saiyan powers and kinda started looking like his old K1 self. A picture surfaced of Alistair posing with the CEO of Risen, and a lot of people were shocked at what they saw. For the first time in nearly a decade, Overeem actually looked human. He's currently serving a suspension for PED usage in Glory, though he's rumored to be making a return in December 2023 for the Heavyweight Grand Prix. The best part is that there'll be $500,000 on the line. Still, I can't help but wonder if Overeem is going to be able to get anything done. Now that he's so skinny, he looks like a pile of bones. It's important to remember how much of a beast the Dutch fighter used to be. He was unstoppable inside the octagon, and his size was enough to scare off literally anybody who thought about fighting him. I mean, even someone like Lesnar was nervous about their fight. Thankfully, Overeem didn't leave us in the dark and talked about what led to his insane body transformation. Alistair made an appearance on Love in Dubai and shed some light on how he managed to lose all that mass. Crazy, no? People are out here trying to gain mass, and Overeem's trying to do everything he can to lose it. He just had one thing to say, and that was how he'd stopped eating meat and decided to go vegan. Apparently, it was all thanks to his new nutritionist, Julian Van Hoven. He'd started off by giving Overeem some supplements. Now, I know what you're thinking. In the past, all of these supplements usually meant straight-up steroids. But things seemed to be different this time around. So he was given all of these new supplements, and without even trying, his body just started hating meat. Okay, maybe hate is too strong a word. It was more like he had steak one day and just didn't feel like having it anymore. His nutritionist said that these supplements were basically just seaweed, though it can't be that simple, right? Anyway, he talked about how he had parasites growing inside his body, and it wasn't him who wanted to eat meat. Instead, it was these parasites who were making him want to eat meat more often. No. Wait, man's got a point. These supplements messed with the parasite's ecosystem and made them weaker over time, eventually killing them off. Now that they were dealt with, his switch over to becoming a vegetarian became a whole lot easier. And the end result was the leanest we've ever seen him throughout his entire career. But before this was in the open, things got so bad that people thought he was suffering from a disease. I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw how slim he'd gotten, I thought something was definitely wrong with him. Thankfully, he decided to reveal his secret, which turned out to be eating vegetables. Still, a lot of people got so freaked out that they started comparing him to Chadwick Boseman, who'd also lost a ton of weight towards the end of his life. I mean, if you look at all the pictures of him that have been popping up recently, he doesn't look like his old self at all. And the fact that he lost all that mass over a period of 8 months, well, it's pretty crazy to think about. If you'd told me a year ago that Overeem would drop down to light heavyweight, I'd have laughed in your face. With his current physique, he looks like his old self, back when he was still competing in K1. Even with this new leaner frame, there's still rumors floating around about him, saying that he'll compete in the Glory Heavyweight Grand Prix in December 2023. From the looks of things, he's definitely not a heavyweight right now, so it'll be interesting to see how he manages to bulk up for the tournament. Since he'll be fighting against some of the best fighters in the world, let's check out how good Alistair really is. Honestly, it kinda depends on which version of him we'll be seeing in the ring. Since he seems to be running around all natty, he's probably going to be back to his old self. I'm not gonna lie, he was a beast back in the day when he won in the K1 Grand Prix, which is an insane achievement in itself. Now, just after his K1 days, he got signed to the UFC, and that's when we saw peak Alistair come out from within. This was the period where he was taking almost everything on the market and was juiced to his gills. He was probably the biggest and scariest dude on the roster for a few years. But his problem started when USADA came into the picture. After they decided to rain on Overeem's parade, he was forced to hop off a lot of things, and he lost a bit of his mass. Alongside his mass, his career began to slide downhill pretty fast, and it wasn't long before he was released by the UFC. Still, he made a comeback with the fight promotion Glory. The guy went back to juicing up and went Super Saiyan mode all over again. Though it wasn't long before he got caught and was handed a 1-year ban. Now that he's clean and we know how things went down the last time that happened in the UFC, I don't think we should have high hopes for his potential performance in December 2023. Which is probably why a lot of people think he might hop on gear again. The Dutch fighter has a long history of abusing steroids, and it really isn't that much of a long shot to think he'll hop back on them sometime soon. Every time things don't seem to be going his way, he picks the easy way out. Then he dominates for a bit before getting caught and facing bans. It's not the most glamorous lifestyle, but hey, if it makes him happy. If you ask me, he's probably not going to do so well in the Grand Prix. It's been so long since he's fought Natty and probably isn't used to his body taking hits like that. It's also pretty obvious that his athleticism suffers from a steep decline every time he goes off of his cycle. Now that he's lost all that mass, he might have better cardio. But you can definitely kiss those strength gains goodbye. Of course, we can't just predict his performance just yet. We're going to have to wait till the tournament comes around before we can judge his performance. I feel like things have a 50-50 chance of going either way, and it'll be pretty exciting to see what he can come up with in the ring. But before he fights, he's going to have to deal with all those fans who are worried about his health. Like I mentioned before, the entire combat sports community is worried about Overeem, and things aren't looking too good for the big guy. I mean, think about it. He may think he's super healthy, but the way he lost all that weight in such a small amount of time, it just doesn't seem healthy, right? The last time he stepped on the scales, he weighed in at 112 kilograms. Now he's probably sub 100. Overeem did talk about this transformation and said that he was being monitored by his doctors and everything that his body had gone through was completely healthy and that his nutritionist was keeping a close check on his diet. The most we can do right now is trust in Alistair and hope that everything he's doing is going to work out for him in the end. Anywho, we're going to have to look forward to his return to the ring to see whether all this work he's been doing on getting his body to be more healthy was even worth it. Here's to hoping that the Dutchman makes a big comeback and doesn't get handed another suspension. Honestly, at the rate he gets handed these bans, it won't be long before he's banned permanently. Anyways, he doesn't look like he'll be hopping back on that trend game anytime soon. Fingers crossed. For everyone who's been worried sick about their favorite fighter, they can chill out now, knowing that he's getting all the care he needs. So, from fans going crazy over his health, to slimming down to an unrecognizable size, that was the MMA world reacting to Alistair Overeem's body transformation.